order of things. This is my 6th or 7th reading of those texts that I've taught many times, but this time I'm paying special attention to ontology as I read, and I can assure you that the ontological and material are all over those books. I would also argue that Derrida's deconstruction of presence is ontological. And of course, Deleuze and Guattari could be called the kings of ontology. And think about Baudrillard, who told us that never again will the real have to be produced. The ontological is everywhere in the posts. I suspect it's just that we haven't been too interested in putting it to work until recently. But now at the beginning of the 21st century, perhaps having grown weary of our epistemological projects, the focus has shifted to the ontological, springing up across disciplines as diverse as literature, physics, political science, education, philosophy, and sociology are the new empiricisms and the new materialisms that have encouraged the ontological turn. Much of this work calls itself feminist, as humanist projects have always consigned women to the material, devalued side of all the binaries. These projects also take up and extend the ontological work of post-theorists. Karen Barad, for example, thinks quantum physics with Derrida's book Spectres of Marx, and concerned with the status of the material in representational logic, she cites Foucault's comment in the archaeology of knowledge that words and things is the entirely serious title of a problem. Her concept quantum entanglement seems quite Deleuzian. Vicky Kirby uses Derrida as well, thinking materiality differently with deconstruction and troubling totalizing notions of culture, dismissed along with language in some of his work, but not if one rethinks those concepts with difference outside essentialism. Jane Bennett uses Deleuze and Guattari's work to help think of vital materiality and vibrant matter that has thing power. Diana Poole and Samantha Frost encourage us to reopen the issue of matter, once too closely associated with an essentialist phenomenology and structural Marxism. Poole and Frost remind us that the great materialist philosophies of the 19th century, notably those of Marx, Nietzsche, and Freud, were themselves hugely influenced by developments in the natural sciences, as are the new materialists. Dorothea Olkowski calls this engagement postmodern philosophy and the scientific turn, reminding us that post-theorists have always engaged the hard sciences. For example, there are many links between Deleuze and Guattari's work in physics, and Lyotard's critique of positivism in state science remains right on. The focus on ontology at the beginning of this new century is both timely and provocative, and there's much to read and reread. How do we do inquiry using the new empiricisms? Well, these empiricisms work with conventional humanist qualitative methodology. I just don't think so, because this ontological turn is another turn away from humanism, this time from its ontologies. Can we still use the old language of humanist ontologies in the new empiricisms? Can we use the old language of humanist qualitative methodology that's grounded in these ontologies? Will these words work in the new empiricisms? I suspect not. Furthermore, I think it's dangerous to use them because they keep us stuck in the old ontology. Think about it. When I use a concept like data, I bring with it the entire ontological structure in which the concept exists. But those inventing new empiricisms right now are inventing new language that will help us with this work. Concepts like entanglement, interaction, vibrant matter, and on and on. I taught a doctoral course in the new empiricisms last spring, and we focused on thinking with the new language they offer. Not surprisingly, it was difficult for students who'd taken 3 or 4 qualitative methodology courses to stop thinking with concepts like data, data collection, and data analysis, and begin thinking from a flattened ontology with entanglement and space-time mattering. Those students who've been very well trained in qualitative methodology, like so many of us, kept trying to disentangle entanglement, to break it down into its component parts, which is the work of an ontology grounded in deductive, inductive analysis, like the ontology of qualitative methodology. Qualitative methodology interfered with their ability to think differently about ontological issues. is why I think we have to try to forget our training if we're going to do, think, live something different. And I'm eager to work with a new generation of students who may never have been trained in qualitative methodology. What would that be like? What would it be like to enter the field of research in the flattened ontology of the new empiricisms? What would it be like to begin in entanglement? This is indeed an exciting time, a time of great possibility. It was also an exciting time, a time of great possibility when qualitative methodology was invented almost half a century ago now. But as I've argued today, conventional humanist qualitative methodology could never engage the posts because it's grounded in humanist epistemologies and ontologies. To engage the posts and the ontological turn they enable to make this turn of this new century our turn, our task may well be to forget that methodology, to refuse it, to let it go. We're certainly fortunate to be here at this conference this week where we can help each other think about this exciting new work, and I look forward to our conversations. I close today with some provocative words from Elizabeth Tari, who encourage us to invent new concepts in our conversations, concepts like those offered by the post-ontologies and the new empiricisms. They wrote as follows: "We do not lack communication. On the contrary, we have too much of it. We lack creation. We lack resistance to the present. The creation of concepts in itself calls for a future form, for a new earth, and people that do not yet exist. I long for that new earth and new people that do not yet exist. A romantic notion perhaps and fraught with peril, but nonetheless an irresistible lure, what dare it I might call the impossible but necessary, the promise of a world to come we might think and so make real."